What's up, guys? Today I'll be reviewing a kinda controversial game, and that is none other than Mario Kart World, so let's get into it. So Mario Kart World is pretty much the longly anticipated Mario Kart 9, so let's see if it's worth it or not. As you can tell from the name, Mario Kart World is an open world game, though Sonic Cross Worlds isn't open world, but it's got world in its name. And as someone who loves open world games, I was so hyped for this, and the open world amazed me. It didn't fail to amaze. It's a pretty giant open world, and you can drive around freely and do lots of cool things. And I've seen people say that the open world feels empty, and I don't necessarily agree with that because it's kind of meant to be just like relaxing for free roaming and just driving around and stuff. And there are things to do, like you can collect Peach medallions, you can do P-switches, and you can find question block things. And it also has a photo mode, and that's new for the Mario Kart series besides Mario Kart Tour, and it gets the job done. Something I didn't like about free roam is that the split screen multiplayer, you can't just do that normally, which should have been a feature. To do split screen between two people, you have to go on to online and then make a room and stuff, and that's just, hopefully that gets patched, but we'll see. But Mario Kart World is a racing game, first of all, and that's what everyone is here for, racing, so let's talk about that. The karts feel great. They move very differently than how they did in Mario Kart 8, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not sure which I prefer more, but there is a lot of extra movement in World when controlling the karts. And all the tracks are pretty cool. Something I didn't like, though, is that they kind of feel more like pieces of the open world and less like racing tracks like how they did in 8, which is just the way I felt. Maybe because the environments, you see them more around you or whatever, but I don't know. A great new mode is Knockout Tour, and that is where you race from one end of the map to the other, trying to not get eliminated, and it's just a ton of fun, and it's a great new addition to the Mario Kart series. Something else that isn't super great is the online multiplayer. Now, it's pretty hard these days to find a full race group with 24 racers and stuff, which is pretty crazy when it's still a pretty new game. But the problem is that most of the tracks you can vote for are like intermission tracks, not 3 laps, which Nintendo is putting out patches for it, but they haven't fully fixed the problem yet, so hopefully that does get fixed, but yeah. Now I'm going to talk about the battle mode, and there isn't a whole lot to say because there's only 2 modes, Coin Runners and Balloon Battle, but both are fun and the open world works really well for battle mode. Now Mario Kart World's character roster is very big. It might be, well, nah, it's not the biggest in the franchise because Mario Kart Tour is just massive, but there's a lot of characters in this game. Some of the characters you have to unlock, at least you had to unlock by, getting transformed into them by a Kamek, which was kind of hard to do, but thankfully that got fixed. Now there's a lot of really weird characters like Piantas or Cataquacks, which I think is pretty cool because we're probably never going to see these playable again. I mean, we might see Pianta playable again, but Cataquack you're definitely not going to. But I think it's cool having these odd, unique characters because it makes the roster stand out more. Though I do think some other Mario characters deserve the spot more, like Diddy Kong or something. There's also costumes for the popular characters that you can get by eating food from the Yoshi restaurants, which is really awesome. Also, the game has a different art style, which is kind of like Mario Wonder and kind of like the Mario movie a bit, but I prefer 8's art style more because I prefer the more realistic look than the cartoony art style. It just looks more clean, and I feel like this art style kind of doesn't take advantage of the Switch 2's power, but Mario Kart World was originally going to be a Switch game, so that could be why. Though the characters do have a lot of cool animations and stuff, which is really nice to see. Now another downside about this game, at least a downside for most people, is the price, and the price is $80. Now for me, I don't really have a problem with it because I was going to buy it anyways, and I have already played over 100 hours, so I got my money's worth, but I do think the game should have been $70, since 70 is like the new price for Switch 2 games and stuff. And I don't think there's enough content to justify 80 bucks. I don't think games should be $80. 70 was more than a fair price. So, yeah, it should have been 70. So, is Mario Kart World worth getting? So, if you're a Nintendo fan and you love Mario Kart, it's definitely worth it. If you have a Switch 2, you probably should get it because it's a must-have if you have one. And comparing it to 8, I'm not sure which is better at the moment. I'll probably decide later on. But I do think they both have their benefits, so play them both and subscribe for more Nintendo content.